And this next song is the very first song I wrote when I moved here to Austin, Texas. It's called Darlin, short for Darlin, What Did You Do? And I kind of think that maybe if I'd been home on the East Coast when I wrote it, it'd be called something else. More like, Darling, whatever have you done? But you and I both know that's just not how they talk in South Austin. So the song's just called Darlin. You dropped in my head for a minute. Now I am wallowing in it. The smell of your beard in the morning, your laugh in the dark. You feel like a house that I lived in, that somebody else raised their kids in. Darling, what did you do to my heart? I swear it was fine when I met you, full of blood, a little sinew, nothing fancy, no, not working particularly hard. Next thing I knew, it was skipping out on the pond, skinny dipping. Darling, what did you do to my heart? Ideal, is it, baby? But I deal with it daily. I take out the trash, I water the yard. From what I can tell, it was instant, an editorial misprint. So sorry, darling, what did you do to my heart? What did you do? What did you? What did you do? What did you do? What did you? And when can you do it again? Thank you so much. So I moved here from Atlanta, Georgia, although technically I had just been kind of driving around the country in circles for about 5 years before that. But I always said I lived in Atlanta, and sometimes I had an apartment there, and sometimes I just sort of had my mail going there, but I didn't have an apartment anywhere, and I was just traveling, because it turns out that the best way to launch a career as a hardworking unknown folk singer is just to put all your stuff in storage and hit the road. So that's what I did, and I've been just playing everywhere I could ever since I left that job as a recording studio engineer. And it's been such an interesting way to get out and see the country and meet people, and I feel so fortunate that, you know, every day I learn something new, and every day I meet somebody new, and every year is a little better than the last, and I've somehow been making a living doing this now for about 5 years, which is really incredible. But I would have to say my favorite part about the job is that I get to meet so many people that I think I otherwise would never really come across. And it's so like life affirming and humanity affirming to me that day after day I meet strangers who are willing to do such beautiful things for other strangers, or who just have really interesting stories. And that's kind of where this next song comes from. I met a young man on an airplane. He was flying from Miami. Well, we were both flying from Miami to Atlanta. And he was sitting in the middle seat, and he asked me if I'd open the window shade. And I didn't really want to, because I wanted to sleep against the window shade. But I wouldn't, deny a stranger the ability to watch the miracle of air travel. So I opened up the window shade, and then I just sort of sat there kind of hoping he didn't talk to me, which I know is not very friendly, and I normally am quite friendly. But, before 8 a.m. on an airplane, I feel like all bets are off. But I guess I wasn't putting out my don't talk to me vibe strongly enough, because he did not pick it up. And then he looks at me and says, I've never been on a plane before. And I thought, oh, honey, my heart just melted. And I was like, well, how old are you? And he said he was 18 years old. And I said, wow, you are 18 years old and you are flying from Miami to Atlanta. What's going on? Why is today the big day? What's so important? I just was trying to make conversation because, he seemed so nervous that I should break the ice. And he said, well, I'm not flying to Atlanta. I'm connecting there and flying to Chicago. And I said, oh, well, the plot thickens. What's in Chicago? And he said, I'm flying to Chicago to get married. Yeah, I made a face like that one. I was like, whoa! Congratulations! Tell me everything about yourself. So we talked the whole flight. He was such a nice young guy. He had a real rough upbringing. He had 6 kind of bad older brothers that all wielded a fairly terrible influence over him. And he said they all bounced in and out of foster care. And he said by the time he got to high school, he was really off track. But then he met this girl, and his whole face lit up when he talked about her. She was beautiful and smart, really motivated him to get his act together. So when she had graduated high school and moved on to college in Chicago, they made a deal that if he graduated from high school, or when he graduated from high school, he could fly up to Chicago and they were going to get married. Now, he had graduated from high school that week on Monday morning, and now it is Friday morning, and he's on that airplane. It is not even 8 a.m. yet. He's going to land in Chicago at 3 o'clock and be reunited with his fiancée for the first time in 10 months. And then he and his fiancée and her mother, because Mom was coming along on that airport pickup, were all going to proceed to City Hall for a wedding that afternoon. He was going to be married by the end of the day. Spend the weekend in Chicago with his new bride, and then he had to be back in Miami by Tuesday because he had not gotten his afternoon shift at Chi-Chi's covered. And he really needed that job. Now, I did a total 180 on that flight. By the end, I started out not wanting to talk to anyone, and by the end, I was completely in love with this guy. But as I have mentioned, he was already taken. So I then just decided to try and become his new best friend, but I think I came on a little strong. In fact, I know I came on a little strong. I freaked him out a little bit. Yeah, I did. So all I have to remember him by is this song that I wrote when I got home. It's called The Chicago Kid. Well, I was born in South Florida and left there to die. I spent 18 long years in the weeds. I found it hard to believe in even changing of seasons. The leaves only turned on TV. As long to be the one she'll press her back to. I am Chicago going. I showed her the stoplight my daddy must have fixed right before he left, a whisper in the wind. She kissed me like a church bell, Lord, she loved me like an anvil, and I haven't had her out of my mind since. And so my grandma told me that I've got his body, and I don't think she meant it unkind. But I'll keep punching these time cards and studying the fine art of working my way up in that girl's mind. And now I'll fly if I have to, though I would swim twice as long to be the one press her back to I am Chicago, going, gone. And one, if I land, they say, two, if I see, three little words made a bird out of me. Well, I was born in South Florida, left this July. 18 years served me just fine. So tell the boss I'm off to marry a sweet daughter of the prairie, and I kiss her where the sun will never shine. And now I fly 'cause I have to, though I would swim twice as long to be the one she'll press her back to. I am Chicago, going, gone. He was born in South Florida, let me die in her arms. I'm Chicago, going, gone.